Good morning. It is Sunday morning, 8:26 a.m. here in either the south end of northern Ontario or the northern end of southern Ontario. I don't know which. That's okay. I've had a stroke. So yesterday I did my first half-hour video. I'm probably going to go and revisit that in a manner of speaking. Take some of the sections because I don't think I did every section enough justice. I'm just going to go back through. Pick through each section, make them 10 or 15-minute videos each. Just to, so that way you can pick something specific and work through it if you need to. So, last night, actually yesterday, yesterday was a bit of a craptastic day. I spent most of it in bed. It was a really fun time. Although, I was kind of coerced out to go visit with some friends in the evening. It was a good idea. Got me out of the house. There's a lot of ambient noise, so my brain didn't like it, but oh well. And I ran into two people there during my evening. One was actually at the event I was at, and I knew I was about to start to stutter, and I wasn't moving very quickly, so I usually at that point disclose before the problem starts that I've had a stroke and this might take a while. They're like, oh no, that's okay, a friend of mine had a stroke. I'm like, oh really? How did he fare? He was actually probably in the worst case scenario. He was 30 years old. He had a stroke on a beach. The beach was in Antarctica. Yes, Antarctica, right? The place where that secret Nazi UFO base is, right? Or it's part of the firmament that surrounds the Earth because you're a flat earther. So think about it. You are literally in the most shittiest place on the world to have a stroke, because the medical facilities in Antarctica do not have the ability to assist effectively. So unfortunately, this person was left with some serious long-term limitations. And then I ran into a lady at the grocery store, employee there, who watched her husband at the time have a stroke. I believe he's passed subsequently. Don't know why, but it's just the way the conversation sounded. He had a stroke in the car. She drove him to the hospital. Now then, she basically told me that, if they've written you off for 6 months, take the full 6 months. I'm still debating that, and we'll get into that later on in another video. But, so one guy had a stroke in his 30s, in literally the least accessible place on the planet. Couldn't even imagine, because you're going to have to wait for the 130 to show up to pluck you off Antarctica, right? And then you're on a plane for a while. And by the time the plane got there, it was probably way too late to give him the brain draino. And that's just a complete shit sandwich. I can't even imagine having to deal with that. The lady at the grocery store who watched her husband have a stroke, I can only imagine how scary that was. She was able to identify what it was almost immediately. Took him to the hospital immediately. And at that point was able to save his life. And she basically encouraged me that, if they've told you that you're going to be off work for 6 months, to exploit that and use the full value of the 6 months. Right? So, sleep has still been disrupted, right? I had problems sleeping last night, problems the night before. Yesterday was headache and bed day for most of the day. It sucks, right? Because I have relatively decent days, I have a few normal days, and then it's like, oh shit, fuck me, what are you doing, right? Like, why does my brain hate me today? It's not a fun time, right? And it days are difficult, right? The only easy day was yesterday, right? Because that's a done day. That day you can't go back on. You don't have to relive it. It's just difficult, right? Trying to stay motivated, right? And I try to find reasons to stay motivated. Sometimes successful, sometimes not. And that kind of goes back to the last series of videos that I've done on post-stroke recovery and depression and fatigue and the vascular cognitive impairment, right? It sucks. It completely does, right? All I can say is you have to persevere, right? You won't get any better in your recovery unless you persevere. So that's what I'm trying to muddle through. Some days a bit more successful than others. So not much really to report this morning. Just, I woke up, and at that point, now that I've woken up, I'm going to have some coffee, maybe something to eat, and then see if my brain tells me I'm supposed to go back to bed. Although I'm supposed to go to another function with friends tonight. Friends from work are leaving the province. They're moving out to BC, so I'm going to try to make an appearance at that just to feel like I'm doing something normal, and go forward from there. But anyways, so if you happen to like what you've seen over the last little over 2 months, please like, share, subscribe with your friends. If you know someone that's currently going through a stroke, either a friend or family member has had a stroke, or they're helping provide support for someone that's recently had a stroke, please recommend the channel to them. They may get something out of it. And if you happen to notice either in yourself or someone around you the signs or symptoms of a stroke, that being facial droop, inability to raise both arms equally effectively or at all, inability to smile equally effectively or at all, slurred, stuttering speech, inappropriate word usage for situation or context, general body weakness, weakness on one side, or inability to stand unaided, please immediately place that person in a position of comfort and dial 911. Something so simple could save a life.